is a giant clump of frog eggs.
We bought 3 acres of undeveloped land to build our dream property ourselves. And after nearly a year of hard work on the land, installing our services and our home, we're ready to take on a very big challenge that we've been waiting all winter for. There is no better tool for this job than our trusty cat. We needed to get this flooding under control fast, so the first order of business was creating a barricade where the water was breaching the ditch and overflowing onto our property. Although this was just a very quick band-aid solution, we also wanted to see how well our pit run would work to replace a missing section of our embankment.
This is a bit of a test. If this little mini berm works, then I'm gonna put a berm from where I started it all the way down here. From there up, all has that embankment mound. So I think when they did this driveway work, they maybe just took it out and it just needs to be put back.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there's other issues as well, but...
Yes, we definitely have other issues on our hands besides a missing section of embankment. But there's actually one particular issue that we'll be addressing throughout this video that is the major culprit. And although many of you had strong feelings about our property selection, there are also many of you that know that there are solutions to these things. I mean, if the happiest place on earth can be built on a peat field, well, why can't we? All jokes aside, it all comes down to budget and how you look at a challenge. And we like solutions around here. Speaking of solutions, we've got a sump pit to set up.
Oh, whoa, I didn't realize how close I was to...
Breach.
Right there.
God. Bringing me back to trench days.
Okay. Now, hopefully float actually works for us.
Yeah.
Very troublesome in the past.
A week of high temperatures and 3 days of torrential rain caused rapid snowmelt, which, when you're living at the base of a mountain, means that water is coming directly for you. But with proper drainage, that water can have little to no effect on your property, and that's exactly what we're going to be working on. Now, this was by far the worst day of the flooding, and although it does look horrible, after watching the footage back, it definitely looks worse on camera.
How long do I think it's going to take to pump out with the garden hose? Well,
175-foot garden hose. And the pump's pretty beat up.
I think 4 hours.
I was going to say 12 or 24.
Oh.
It's not happening in 4 hours, I can guarantee that much.
Did you hear it?
Unfortunately, the float sucks. Float has to be like perfectly vertical, or we should have gone and returned it.
There it is.
Is it actually pumping, Will?
Flowing?
Yeah. Yeah, it's flowing. Got a mark on there, not the best, but really only right here because we like lowered it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But other than that, under the house is fine. Totally fine.
Obviously, we wish we had gone higher with the gravel pad, and Mike did want to bring up the area where the house was going to go another foot or so, but I felt it was unnecessary. Boy, was I wrong. The one thing I didn't fully realize at that point is that there are certain things you can't change after the fact. So while I do have regrets of not spending another $1,000 or so on it, in the situation we're in and the elevation we've set, thankfully we still didn't get any water under the house at any point during the melt. So now we just have to finish up the grading that we didn't manage to get done in the fall. That way, for future spring melts, any water that may breach the ditches onto our property will be redirected away from the home.
That's pumping.
Let's come back and check on this in a bit.
Honestly, the most exciting development from the evening was Ellie befriending this large frog. our 1/4 horsepower electric pump was no match for this puddle. So we decided we'd head to Princess Auto in the morning to get a better one.
What the hell?
Did you fall back there again? Oh,
What?
tape
Oh.
falling back there.
Something on this side too, the farm
Yeah,
side.
the farm side. Okay, hold on.
Here.
Being a squirrel has its benefits.
Nice work, that is impressive. No way I could ever fit in there.
So that pump has been in there for about 48 hours and hasn't really done much. So we're hoping with a better pump, we'll get rid of this water a little faster.
It doesn't look like much because it's nothing crazy special, but it's gonna move a lot more water than our old electric pump. Not quite as much as our gas pump, but the beauty of this bad boy is it has a built-in float. So it's kind of like a temporary
Sump pump.
sump pump, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just put this in a bucket with some holes drilled in it to keep like
Debris.
it from sitting in gravel. And this will just maintain like 2 inches of water. So you just put it in a hole that's slightly lower than everything else. And it keeps everything nice and
All the water will drain into that hole and then the water will get pumped out.
This hose is awesome. It's not quite fire than hose, but it is a very heavy duty lay flat. And these were on sale, and they're a really good deal. And we upsized, we got it in 2-inch, even though this pump's only 1.5 inches, but this will also work for our gas powered pump. So if we want to like quickly pump something out, we can hook the gas powered pump it all out, and then switch to the electric pump to maintain. This is the deepest spot right here, like by far. Oh yeah, it's still running. I'll just pop this and just let the hose.
Yeah, good idea. That just clips on. Let her rip.
How is it flowing?
Great. Lots of flow.
I'm just standing this up a little more.
Okay.
A little easier to get set up than the old gas pump.
Oh my God, that gas one was my nemesis. It would take like half hour to just prime the damn
I mean,
thing.
that hose would be standing up a lot more if it was 1.5 inches. We have an oversized hose for the pump.
Yeah. Starting to rain.
What?
The pump turned off.
What? No. Should I unplug it and re-plug it back in?
I think it might be clogged.
It jumped.
How much is it flowing right away?
Like a good amount.
Unplug it, it's clogged. I don't know.
Should I plug it back in?
Yeah.
Okay. Unkink the hose. There you go. Yeah, I think it's just too kinked. Because now that's ripping.
So maybe everyone who is saying we had flow issues has just only ever used weak pumps. Because that trash pump doesn't care if there's a kink.
No. Oh, yeah. Oh. Stop the pump, stop the pump, stop the pump.
It straightens that kink out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can even see the like algae scum line.
What about the old Sharpie on that or no?
I don't see it.
Water might have washed it off.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go take a look at some of the ditches.
Yeah.
The only one that's happy about all this water is this girl right here.
Oh!
Maybe something will happen. Maybe they are going to
Well,
take
the corner
care
of
it.
that driveway is getting real bad. Before we bought this property, we did our due diligence and we talked to our governing body about the issue, and they said that we are allowed to fix it ourselves by just digging out the ditches, and that was the plan. But then, once we moved here, we were told that that wasn't the case. There is a company that has a government contract, and we are not allowed to clear it out ourselves. We have to wait for them to do it.
As we all know, when you hear something is government contracted, that generally means a heck of a slow process and a lot of red tape. And while it's plain as day that these ditches have not been cleaned out in many years and is affecting water flow, we couldn't touch it. We first viewed the property at the beginning of May last year, and even at that point, there were puddles on the roads, and of course, the ditches were very much overgrown. But the previous owner, as well as the neighbors, were very forthcoming about the property and told us that the road does flood every spring from the snowmelt. And as I mentioned before, given the location of the property and how flat it is, it gets pretty soggy this time of year. Of course, this is not ideal, nor something that we love or take lightly. But there are a lot of other decisions that go into buying a property. And let's be real, price is the largest driving factor. The more perfect it is, the more it's going to cost. After looking at more than a dozen properties over the past 2 years, this is what we liked the best and made the most sense to us. But honestly, it was pretty worrisome there for a few days. Thankfully, one of our lovely neighbors stopped by for a chat and was very adamant that this was the worst of it, and it will only get better from here. And he was 100% right. Good thing too, because honestly, we were considering getting 200 trucks worth of fill to bring up the entire property by a foot. And yes, it was gonna be very expensive. So while at this point, there's nothing we can do about the ditches.
That ditch has trees growing in it.
Yeah.
Another 6 inches and it would be at the house.
Yes.
But the thing is, another 6 inches of water would mean all of our neighbors' houses would be entirely flooded.
Yeah.
And their houses don't flood. You can see how overgrown it is. Like it's ridiculous. It's draining out of the ditch onto the road because of the grass.
Yeah.
Like this, the crazy part is this is the shoulder. This is the ditch. This is supposed to be the ditch, but this is a giant clump of sod.
Yeah.
Like, where did this even come from? You can see the grass. Everywhere is just solid grass.
Oh, that's deep. It looks a lot worse than it is. It's actually not that deep there. You can see Ellie walking through it. It's only a couple inches.
A lot of this is our fault.
Totally.
We took a lot of material out. You can see that whole pile, this whole pile.
Yeah, there's a dirt pile over there, and then there's another dirt pile there that we scraped off.
Last fall, we dug hundreds of feet of trenches to run our water lines and power lines to and from our home and well house, and moved a ton of material in order to make our septic fields. Naturally, with everything taking much longer than hoped, we were unfortunately well into rainy season and the beginning of snowfall by the time we had finished our trench work. This meant a lot of muck. So Mike moved some of the soupy material up into mounds, grading what was left as best he could, and the rest would be dealt with, well, now.
That all came out of this area, and this area is now low, so obviously that's where the water is going to pool. This is going to be a long-term project that we're going to be working on throughout the year, and working on our drainage throughout the property. We're going to be bringing it up, we're going to create some drainage, and we're going to take care of the water issue that we're currently experiencing. Okay, so it's been, what, 15 minutes?
Yeah, 10, 15
Have a
minutes.
little look-see here. Oh my God, it's come down a lot.
Come
Look
down,
at
I'd say half an inch.
Holy moly.
Oh yeah, that's almost 3/4.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, good purchase. Stoked. Okay, well, the pump is working really well, but we noticed a breach in our little barricade here.
Where I'm standing, there's standing water when I stand on the bushes. I think this is our breach right here. It's not like a breach, it's like a sponge.
Yeah. Well, we can move it to the left a bit.
You want to move it to the left a bit?
Yeah, sure. There, I think that's better, don't you?
Way better.
It's cavitating.
Sorry, I turned the camera off for a sec there.
Wow.
So it is cavitating?
Cavitating.
Really what I want is not up.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's what we want, like that.
Let's fire it up.
Ideally we have this like
Up.
up.
Yeah. This will help.
With this pump, the kinks do matter. Oh, actually that's pretty good.
Decent, right?
I think so. That's
Okay.
exactly what we want.
We just want 2 of those. This is really the question we have on our minds right now, is whether we drive back another 4.5 hours round trip to go and buy another one of these pumps.
Then we can just pump that other side down into the ditch, and then we're like, literally, who cares? We're chilling. Is it gonna cost us a bit of hydro? Yes, but the hydro is cheap around here. Yeah. It's one thing that's not very expensive, is energy.
Considering how well this $230 half horsepower electric pump is working for us, we figured another 4.5-hour drive to get a second pump for the other end of the property was well worth it. So off we went on another road trip and our second trip to Princess Auto in 2 days. Now, if you've never been to a Princess Auto before, this place is a goldmine for mechanics, builders, and DIYers alike. I dare you to go into this store and come out with only one thing.
A couple of those would be good, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I'm gonna get a cart.
Not again.
In any case, we got what we needed to make our second pump work, along with a few unrelated items.
What is this?
Another zapper.
And then made a slight 100-kilometer detour to pick up a Facebook Marketplace find on our way home. We just got home with the rock bucket. Update on the puddle. There's just this tiny little puddle left.
Yeah, we just got takeout. We just bought another thing. We've been on the road for
like 6 hours.
6 hours, so let's eat some food and we'll look at that in the morning.
There was still a few inches of water hanging around in our sump pit area, so I decided to grab our bucket, bring it over to our workshop, and drill a few more holes in it lower down. We don't want the pump sucking in sediment. Oh, classic. Battery, dead. But the less water we have in our low spots throughout our property before adding material back in, the better. Before, the water could only flow in through there. Now it's flowing in from down below. Now we can clear out the rest of this puddle. I'm gonna connect all the little puddles that are not connected right now so everything can drain into this one pool. That's draining a lot better. All the rocks are filtering all that cloudy, murky stuff. And it's coming out without debris. Nice and clear. Oh, no way. Oh my God. Oh my God, I thought it was some garbage. See that? Yeah, thought that was just a piece of garbage. That is a giant clump of frog eggs. This is insane.
What?
Look at this.
What?
Right? Isn't that the most bizarre thing you've ever seen? Look at the size of this. Like, put your boot next to it.
Here's the size of an 11 Dunlop. That's crazy.
Isn't it? And we go put them in the
Ditch.
with all the
I
other.
can put them in the ditch.
Put in the ditch, right? I figure if they're gonna be here without any water, they might dry out. So if I'm careful and just try and scoop them up, I mean, maybe there'll be some casualties, but if I can save a couple, right? Okay, maybe I'll take like half.
They're gonna die if we don't move them, so you gotta try. You gotta go straight up.
Right there.
Oh.
That's where I wanted. Separation.
Yeah, somehow you actually like got that perfect.
Okay. Just drop the frog eggs.
Well, or do we want to put them in a puddle that we can like see?
Let's keep a couple.
Put them right there. Just
There, right?
Yeah.
A little calm pool.
Yeah.
Oh, I rolled over.
Maybe that's fine.
Maybe it's okay. Oh, my little frog friends. Yeah, that's better. I'm sorry for anyone who's a frog biologist. This is probably not the best way to handle them.
And they look good.
They do. They look like they're chilling. I think
Yeah.
they're way better off there.
For sure. Than
think?
sitting in the middle of the field. Because every one we've seen a bunch of these, but they've been way smaller.
And floating around in this, like stuck to the grass.
With the frog eggs hopefully rescued, it was time to get back on track from my little side quest and get our second pump set up.
We're gonna start draining out the field.
I think this is going to be a good spot. See all the tannins in there?
Yeah.
Well, this is some 1.5 hose. These are actually hose sections that came with the pump. It's really cheap,
It's a really flimsy material.
but we just bought these ends. They were also quite cheap. It's 25 bucks in hardware per hose. That's on the bottom.
Perfect.
That might actually work well then.
So thankfully we have a moat around our entire property, which may seem funny, but it's actually very helpful for us in this situation. Okay, let's fire up. Oh my god.
Oh, this is so bad.
Looks like a balloon animal.
It's so bad. No, twist this.
Oh no. All right.
That's flowing well.
It is. Oh, water level has come down. The pump is working like a dream. Oh yeah, 5-star review. Still looks like a mess, but it's looking a lot better.
I spent the next 45 minutes connecting the puddles just as I had done at the other end of the property so that everything could drain into our sump pits. With both pumps working well, we left them to do their thing and then came back to check on them in a couple hours.
Looks good.
It is looking really good. Look at this. That level is down tremendously.
We're going to use this as a dry well, and
For now.
we've got some future plans involving that.
Very soon.
For now, it's a temporary pond.
Yeah. Look at this water level. Like, it is remarkable how well that little pump is doing. This was completely covered in water. It was like 6 to 8 inches there. You can even see where it had been, all the tannins along those rocks there. But now the water level is so well maintained, very low. Where's our initial mark? I hope it's still on here. Oh, it is. Nice. So that's where I had initially marked our water level. That has come down an enormous amount. We've got 4 or 5 days of sun coming up, so that's gonna dry this right out, and we're gonna be able to get a lot more work done out here. Fill all this in, but it's looking promising. We've got grass growing. Things are coming back to life. Unfortunately, there's some garbage popping up, and unfortunately the previous owners had buried some stuff. So we'll do some cleanup.
Go have a look at this other spot.
Yeah, good idea.
Hey, so it's been a while since we've been over at this end of the property, but we're seeing a lot of the same thing. In the lower spots, there's water filling up, but it's really not that bad. It's only a couple inches.
This is the ramp that our septic contractor makes for driving his excavator up and down. The deal with our contractor, we got a good price. It's our responsibility to like pretty it up. It's there, it's working, it's functional. We can't drive the machine up on there, but we need to like shape the edge bank so it's all nice. And then once we remove this material, it's going to allow this to float over to there. We're gonna add some in here, just create a little bit of slope back towards there and there. And then hopefully won't have this problem at all.
Yeah.
This is like a high spot in here. So I'm gonna take a little bit out of there and move some over there. It just needs some dirt work.
But if you ask anyone who's from BC, this is pretty normal. It's nothing uncommon.
Springtime.
It's spring. It's wet. But that's why it is a very beautiful place to live, and we are very fortunate to live here because we have an abundance of water, and I don't really see that as a major problem. Okay, let's get this bucket and our other smaller pump in that puddle. Yeah, she kicked on. No kinks. Oh, good, you're getting water. Okay, well, let's let that drain.
With all 3 water pumps working away, we could finally try out our new rock bucket.
The one we rented was only like 60 inches wide. It was made for a much smaller machine. This is a Chinese model. It had a few scratches on it, so we had a sale on it. It got just beat up a little bit in the crates. There's just some big scratches in it, which for a rock bucket doesn't matter at all. This is gonna get just plowed its whole life into piles of rocks. But for something like this that we're only using for classifying material on our own property, it is gonna be more than good enough for us, and I'm really hyped on it. Now the one kind of weird thing about it, our machine takes a 78-inch wide bucket. We went to pick this up late at night. Now I should have gone and looked at the writing and the tag on the bucket. I can't be too mad at him. Long and short, we ended up getting an 84-inch rock bucket for $1,000. We're gonna classify some rocks.
Thankfully, even with this larger than necessary bucket, with its slats, this bucket immediately sifts and drops any material that is 3 inches or less in diameter. So we'll never actually be overloading our machine. Now this bucket won't solve all our gravel needs. We will need to order some 3/4 minus road base because 3-inch rock is still too large of a rock to top a driveway. Of course, we can also order pre-classified 3-inch minus rock from our local rock quarry, but it's 3 times the price of a truckload of this pit run. So why not classify it ourselves?
It's looking so good. What do you think of the bucket? You were saying you wish the tines were a little bit closer together, eh?
A touch, yeah.
Even though this is standard, but look at our little pile.
I know, at first I was like, it's doing nothing, the pile's so small, but now, like, how long did I work there for? 20, 30 minutes?
35 minutes.
A couple of yards of rocks.
Like, that's a decent pile.
After moving material around in a 10,000-pound machine equipped with a 7-foot bucket, a couple yards of rock suddenly feels small. While Mike was working away classifying rocks and flattening out our driveway, I attempted to troubleshoot our 10-year-old, not so mighty, 1/4 horsepower electric pump.
We got some clogs to deal with.
which, to be fair, was not designed to suck in a bunch of debris and is very much underpowered for the job. However, at that point, I stubbornly refused to get our gas-powered semi-trash pump fired up after the struggle fest I had with it throughout fall and winter. Instead, now being spoiled by electric pump luxury, I opted to bail the puddle. But wouldn't you know it, this puddle was as stubborn as I was. Okay, well, we got a new hose and some new fittings for our trash pump. The electric little mini pump wasn't working very well out here with all the sediment. It was just getting plugged up, burning out, wasn't working. So reluctantly, I'm going back to this. And we have our other two newer pumps working in the background on other areas. I'm gonna switch out the suction hose for our longer, newer suction hose. We've got some cam lock fittings for them, so it'll be easier to get them on and off. We also got a new cage to filter out sediment. Our plastic one was absolutely junk and would cave in on itself. So hopefully this will work a little better.
Choke's on. I remember this not starting the best.
No. Oh, well.
Or no, the opposite. I think it started really well.
This goes on here.
Yeah, a little more
Robust.
solid looking, eh?
Yeah. Oh, I see the water coming down the...
Yeah. Oh, there it is.
The gas pump with our new suction hose, cam lock fittings, and filter cage worked very well. I really should have just set this up days ago. Speaking of useful tools, our newly crafted trailer hitch attachment for the skid steer has been used a dozen times already and has been extremely useful to move some upcoming projects out of the way while we grade. All right, well, that was a very productive day. It is looking so good out here.
When you're leveling, you just gotta spend the time, do the passes, cut back and forth, like really work it in.
Yeah.
To get it just dead flat and smooth, get your drainage perfect. I should have just spent the time when we first did this, but we were a little rushed and funds also.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, the supervisor's tired.
Is she?
Oh my goodness. Ellie.
Ellie, are you tired? No.
She is just dying to try this thing out.
She would love to get up in there.
Don't even. No! Hey. How are the frogs doing?
Kind of look the same, maybe.
Things weren't looking good for our frog eggs. Or for our tripod, apparently.
Oh, dang.
The blustery weather was actually a welcome blessing because that, in combination with this week's warm weather, meant we were able to make a ton of progress on our grading before the next rainstorm would be rolling in.
I could actually drive straight. This is fine.
Totally.
For machine. My goal is to fill that in a little bit and flatten it, but I can't really work that too much. That's gonna have to be placing a little bit of dirt and really carefully.
Yeah.
This is gonna be my path.
And then this should all be relatively solid.
This is a really good section.
Yeah.
This is like one of the best spots.
Yeah,
wow. True. It's even better now.
I know, right? You can see it's a low spot right there.
Well, that's just what's the settling that's happened, right? But that's not bad at all.
No.
I think we just got to put more dirt on it and keep driving on it. It'll be good.
Yeah.
The next thing will be fixing all this.
It looks worse than it is because it's just a bunch of water sitting on the surface. It's impermeable. It has nowhere to go.
I used it as a road with the skid steer when it was raining a bunch, and then I scraped it all off.
Exactly. Unless you drain it, it's not aerated. It's all saturated. So we just got to woof woof.
It's only where it's been like worked really bad is it really deeply soft.
Yeah.
So this pile of dirt here is just excess dirt from building the septic field. 2.5 trucks of excess material right here. And then even along this, you can see there's like a 10-foot section of dirt. The septic field is actually only in the middle 10 feet where the sand is. The septic contractor uses to run his machine up and down while he builds it and works on it. So we can actually cut a bunch of this material away, slope this down nicely, cut that corner off, fill in all these low spots, take this whole thing, fill in all this low spot.
Our rock bucket was proving to be useful for a variety of tasks. It did great at classifying and moving material, and did surprisingly well at leveling out the driveway, kind of like a box blade for a tractor. We also had a large pile of logs and branches, so we figured we'd put our oversized 84-inch bucket to the test.
So, it's the next day.
It's looking way better.
It is.
Unfortunately, this takes like time and really should have been out here a few days ago. Messed up by not pumping this out quicker, sooner. I would love to work it a little bit, let it sit for another day or two, and then work it again, but
We got some weather coming in.
there's a little hump there that needs to be pushed out. You take a little bit more off that corner still, just a touch there, and we'll make this pit even smaller. Oh, and trees.
Yeah, what do we want to do about the trees?
This one's really ugly.
Yeah.
That was already broken, that was already broken. I broke that one. It's half dead. This one I'm question mark. But this tree starts like here.
Yeah, it's like it got smushed. It was like a weed at one point, got smushed, and then just grew sideways.
I only wanted to leave this one because it's actually growing upright.
Yeah.
So you hack that off, but then like the tree would probably die.
Yeah.
It's already got fungus on it.
Yeah. That's growing out of that. This is all growing out of that. Or do we just tear it out and then we're able to actually properly grade this all. Then we can plant a tree at our leisure where we want it. At our leisure.
obviously some people are gonna be like, you should have saved it, but this is where the tree starts. It's
Yeah.
like 3 feet over before it's even 2 feet off the ground. You'll never be able to mow anything on that side. Let's just commit, we're gonna plant a tree here before the end of summer.
Sounds good.
After some careful consideration, we decided the best course of action was to remove all 3 of these trees. Because our peat has a high moisture content and high acidity, many species of trees can't establish good root networks to access the nutrients they need for healthy growth. So trees that can't handle this kind of environment will adapt by growing sideways at the base before straightening up like our trees here to try and stabilize themselves further. But ultimately, no one wants an unstable tree. After removing the trees, Mike worked with the cat at flattening out the surrounding area. Meanwhile, I began raking the top of the septic mound where a 10,000-pound machine is not welcome.
All right, so this is looking really good, but we need to work on this area a little bit. I need to flatten out the top of it there. I'm also trying to uncover where our septic pipe runs into the tank so that we know how far we can grade this and just continue making this nice and flat and making it look a little prettier. Which means should be in this general area right there. Ah, there it is. You can see it comes out straight, 45s, goes down a little bit, 45s again, goes straight down. So where I had my stick marker there is pretty accurate, so we can taper it down.
The goal is to make the septic mound a rolling hill rather than a giant brick sitting at the edge of our property. The weather was still holding up nicely, so every day we chipped away at the groundwork, getting everything graded and sloped so that any rainfall and water sitting on the surface of our land will be directed towards the ditches rather than pooling in low spots. Being that it's still only the beginning of spring and the ground is still, as we've seen, very soft, the cat was doing an amazing job at flattening everything out, but it did leave some ruts. So I decided to try raking out some of the high spots left by the cat tracks and break up some of the dirt to allow for some better drainage. Overall, everything was looking really good, but the nice weather was quickly coming to an end and we were in for a couple days of heavy rainfall. It was time to see how our land work would hold up.
Everything's looking good. It's kind of been on and off raining all day, all night for the last 2 days. Everything out here is looking fairly decent. Our low spot that we have kind of left unchanged because we have more plans for this area. It's still obviously very soft and soupy, but everything else is looking mighty good. But it's kind of hard to show on camera. Like obviously here you can see it's soft. No denying that. Let's go over here. Here's the area that got raked. Now, it's still soft, but the biggest change is that there's no pooling water. Everything is flat, so the water is just dispersing and it has a chance to drain. We were a little concerned that there would be a bunch of water pooling kind of down here because it like G's out there and then gets flat. But really there's only this one spot. So that just needs a little bit more material, but just for scale, that's my boot. So not much. Over there, even though this is the lowest spot on the property, it is
100 times better than it was. Our little low spot that we've left here as like our sump pit, I guess you could call it, a dry well, is doing its job. And yeah, there's still little pockets, for sure. But there is no water pooling near the house. So just taking a look at our driveway here, no puddles whatsoever. Grading is working. It's a little bit more wet here. I mean, to be expected, seeing that there's a giant saturated sponge right behind it that's trying to seep through. We were very careful not to go to the ditch. We wanted to leave a nice big area so that we wouldn't get any sediment flowing into the ditch. So this is probably about 3 feet back from where the ditch starts. Doing a very good job at keeping that water back. Although there is a little bit, it's just a little softer here, but I can press and there's no water coming up. Everywhere around the house is dry. Remember, this was all completely underwater. All of this, right up until the stairs. We've added about probably 6 inches of material in this area. Over the next few days, we monitored the property, and as more rain fell, we became increasingly confident that our land work at Waterworld was a success. Although this is still very much phase 1 of many, it was at a point where we didn't need to be concerned about it anymore. Especially with some progress happening in the neighborhood, shining a light on the severity of the ditch issue. More on that in a minute. One question still on the back of my mind are frog eggs. Oh, they are changing. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. They are growing. Legitimately turning into tadpoles. After reveling in my wildlife rescue mission, we went to check on our second pump at the far end of the property. So we've been having some issues with this pump, and I'm wondering if it has something to do with the hose rather than the pump itself. It's obviously full of water, but the float isn't getting tripped to turn back on. If I just lift this, will it kick back on? Yep. So let's put something underneath that so that the hose stands more upright. See how it slumps down instantly? That's kind of what we experienced with the red hose and the other pump on the other side when we first set it up. Hopefully this will hold it up, allowing it to turn back on when the water level rises again. So let's try that out. All right, we'll see how that does. Okay, back checking on the pump. Still running. Just gonna wait for another cycle. This is working great. We will check back in on this in the morning. What do you think? Time to go? All right, you heard the boss. The pump was working great, and everything was starting to feel much more under control. All the colors started coming back in the valley, and the beauty of spring was coming to life. And speaking of life, I'm happy to report that we officially have tadpoles. So there was no better way to continue this trend of new life than get right on getting a new tree. We got ourselves a tree.
It's small and spindly.
It is,
Tree.
but it's a Canadian tree. It's a maple tree. This is called an Amber maple. Some little leaves there. We're at this beautiful farm, tree farm. It's 100 acres and they grow all sorts of trees. So we wanted to get one of these guys.
But this is a little bit of a last minute decision, and you got to order those at least, what was it, a week to 10 days ahead.
Yeah, because they got to basically make them, they have to acclimatize them to not being in the soil, and they got to
wrap them and make sure that they're nice and healthy and happy before they go to their new homes. But these ones they're grown in pots.
They're still in the ground.
They're still in the
on the
ground.
ground, but these are only 1 day turnaround.
Yeah.
So, you know.
After loading up the tree, wouldn't you know it, we found ourselves picking up another Facebook Marketplace project on our way home.
Somehow we always end up with more stuff on the way home.
But on our drive back, we found ourselves involved in something alarming for this time of year.
We've got a jug of water right there.
Really?
Yeah, right behind us. I'm not sure. Oops.
I have no idea.
We came across a grass fire at the side of a main road, and a bunch of Good Samaritans, along with this concrete truck equipped with water, were trying to put the fire out. We jumped in to lend a hand, but to all of our surprise, there was another fire starting further down the road.
Another one right there.
Oh, it's down there, down there. No, down there by the house. Holy.
It was truly an eye-opening experience trying to put out this very small wildfire. There was about 12 people stomping out what they could and spraying the area down with water.
Do we have a hose? This log's on fire.
But even after an area was completely soaked, underneath it still had hot spots that would ignite even though the ground around it was completely wet.
Oh, scary for April.
There was a lot of back and forth, running around and checking and rechecking areas.
Here, look, it's all hot under here.
I'm just doing an area I can stand on.
Yeah.
But thankfully, along with the help with a second water truck and a garden hose Mike found from a faraway neighbor, we were able to put the fire out before the fire truck arrived.
Seems to be all good now. Up there is fine too.
I was like sprinting and someone drove by like, what's going on? Like, we need a hose. Like, follow me, I live right here.
Thankfully, the rest of the drive home was uneventful, and we got our new tree unloaded.
Here, let's give it some water.
Oh, yeah, that's good enough.
Yeah.
Was it
That
a
was
forest
crazy.
fire or
no,
a
that would
wildfire?
be a wildfire, brush fire, grass fire.
And of course, like, you don't realize it when you're in the moment, like giving her.
Yeah.
But like, my throat is super sore.
Oh yeah, I don't feel great. It's funny how at the beginning of the video, we were kind of like, oh, we bought 4 hoses and we have so many garden hoses. Are we being a little excessive? This was an actual real life event where
one extra hose would have been no stress. The fire would have been out right away.
Yeah.
The fire was directly beside a house. People who pulled over before us, they had gotten a hose out of the yard from the house. They were stretching it to the end, and it was spraying like 15 feet short of the fire. If there was another 25, 30 feet of hose on that hose reel,
it probably would have been out right away.
Instead, some locals called a water truck up from the cement plant down the street, and the water truck that they used to keep the dust down
drove up, got their fire hose out, and then they were able to help, obviously.
And before that happened, while everyone was kind of stomping the fire out and I saw the hose was too short, so I started sprinting around to neighbors' houses. And no one has a hose outside their house.
Crazy.
So then I ran across the street, someone was home, luckily they had a hose.
Yeah.
They threw it to me, a 100-foot hose, and then I ran all the way back, got it screwed on, and then the water truck with the pump, and then it was all good.
And then the fire truck showed up shortly after that, but it was all fine. Everything was good, and it was great that there was a lot of people there to lend a hand.
But it's one of those things.
Yeah,
that could go, like, if not as many people stopped and it got a little bit more out of control.
You know, if you could jump in and lend a hand and help in those situations.
Save someone's property.
Like, of course, no brainer.
Yeah, and we're just going to touch on that. In BC, the number one risk to your house is forest fire. Not earthquakes, not floods.
Forest fire.
Forest fire. And it's what it is here. We have
like Florida, they have hurricane season. We have forest fire season every single year.
So with our property, we bought a bunch of sprinklers, 300 feet of 2-inch hose, 400 feet of garden hose, and then we have hydrants spread out around our property. We can reach every single corner of our property
with the hoses
with the garden hoses we have.
Yeah.
And then we also have our gas powered trash pump, and we also have our 2 electrical transfer pumps, which we can run on generators.
Work amazing.
So it's really nice to know that we have all the water we could ever need to fight any sort of forest fire situation on our property.
Yeah, so we can look at it as a drawback and, oh, it's flooded a couple weeks a year. Or we can say, oh my God, what a blessing to have this amount of water at our disposal in a place that has forest fire seasons.
It's a little heavier now. We
It
watered
is.
it, eh?
Yeah.
Kind of cutting into my
Yeah,
finger.
same. Can we put it down for a sec?
Yeah.
Ow!
Where are we going? Let's
I
go
don't
to original spot, number 1. Right here.
Ow, my...
That hurts. Because it's really small now.
But it's gonna be big.
Couple years from now, it's going to be a lot bigger.
Yeah,
Because it's going to grow fast in our conditions.
it is. It's gonna be green all year and then it'll change colors in the fall.
Wishing we got 2. You think of the same
Same.
thing?
Yeah, hundo. Call them up, be like, can we come back tomorrow?
Okay.
Joking.
No, we're just going to put 1 tree in for now.
We're just putting 1 tree.
This is a tree of symbolism because we are going to plant more trees. The first of many trees to be planted.
Yes.
I'm actually fairly happy with the tip of this. I might reshape the edge, but I'd come from here anyways. Like
But you can see it is sloping that way. So everything is kind of sloped away from the house towards the ditch.
slightly.
Slightly. But honestly, that's all it needs. It just needs
Yeah.
slight. And then obviously the mound is sloped that way and then everything will just kind of run into this ditch. What we need though is it to look like the other side of our neighborhood.
Now, this ditch issue has actually been affecting our entire neighborhood. And just down the road from us, the flooding was actually worse. But unfortunately, I did a horrendous job of documenting it, and when Mike passed me the camera here, I accidentally turned it off. But then one day, the road workers had completely cleared it out. See this giant puddle? That came from the water overflowing these ditches here. And now that they are free and clear of debris, they're flowing amazingly well. And it has completely taken care of the flooding issue literally just down the road from us. And literally overnight, one day, perfect, problem solved.
So you'll just have to take my word for it, but this ditch was completely overflowing this road for like 100, 150 feet down this way over into this field. And you can still kind of see where it was, all this dead grass here. That low spot is still super soggy. And you can see how it kind of tracks all the way down to that property over there. Now, our neighbor owns a lot of this area, and he was calling the district and calling those road workers every day, trying to find out when they were going to clear the ditch because it was almost flooding out their tenant's basement. So it was getting really bad on this side, just a complete lake out here. But look at how much it has improved. Now the water is flowing crystal clear. Just having cleared out these ditches completely solved the issue. And like, obviously,
You're not even at the water yet.
that's where the water is now. 3.5 feet?
At least. Now go to the other side. I'm gonna stay here. So your feet were at the water there.
Yeah. Feet were in water, just at the surface there. My feet are in the water.
This is the main ditch, which starts all the way at the end of this road. It crosses under the intersection and drains further down this way. Our ditch starts right about where these bushes are, and from there goes down the road and eventually crosses down this street, draining into the main ditch, which carries on to drain further down. Hence why we're calling it the main ditch.
So what we found out from the road crews is that they did clear out the ditches about 8 to 10 years ago. And then previously before that was about 20 years ago. And then when you go look at how they did the one they just did, it's like perfect, halfway between, horrible. Which makes sense that this was cleaned out 8 to 10 years ago. That hasn't been cleaned out for 20 years.
No. So way down there is where our property is.
Can you step on that?
Yeah, I can, unfortunately.
That's an island in the ditch.
Not conducive to drainage.
I just want to come do it, and I'm not allowed.
I know. It would have already been done.
But let's throw a laser on it just so you can see it. 61 3/4 right
Okay,
there.
hold on, I gotta zoom in because I can't even see that.
Actually 61 1/2. And that's just downstream of where it comes out. It comes out right there.
Yeah. What's it showing? Really struggling in the slit. Okay, there, I can see it.
You see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 51.5.
That's pretty crazy. That's a foot difference.
That's what, 20 feet away?
By using the laser, we were able to clearly illustrate without any sort of bias where the problem areas are with the ditch drainage, and have plenty of evidence of the change in water levels throughout the neighborhood during this spring melt. As I'm sure we can all relate to, it's extremely frustrating when your hands are tied and there's a glaring issue with a simple solution in front of you that you can't take action on. But for now, we'll give them some time to take care of it because we can't expect everything to happen right when we want it. Now, while we had every intention on planting our new tree, and quite honestly wanted to hold off releasing this video until we had seeded the whole backyard, every day we worked the land, it just got better and better. Our new bucket was working like a dream to get the soil flat and smooth, and we realized it's just not quite ready out here to start planting. And believe me, I can't wait to get a boatload of trees and plants in the ground here, but that day will come. And I gotta say, it looks friggin' amazing out here.
Well, things are looking mighty fine around here.
Yes.
Gotta say, happy with this transformation.
Yeah, things were not the best.
No.
We were a little worried. We were worried when they said that was the worst day, that they were saying that to make us feel better. we were seriously, like, I talked to a few local excavation companies on the hunt for 100 to 200 trucks worth of material and pricing that out. And
Sorry, the ducks are flying by. It's
John and Judy.
But yeah, it was a little scary there for a bit.
Yeah, it really was. And honestly, seeing the transformation on the other end of the neighborhood, I really wish that we got a shot of how bad it was.
My bad.
Because it was as bad
If
or
not
worse than our side.
Yeah.
And overnight, at like the height of our situation, overnight that was just 100% fixed, no issue. Hasn't had an issue since, been perfect.
So now we have a lot more evidence and we're equipped with more information to go off of. So at least we did what we could with the property and we saw a massive improvement with that.
But then once that gets taken care of, it should solve all of our issues with water table. And I'm not delusional. You may think I am, but we're aware we're always going to have a high water table. 2 feet down doesn't make it a low water table. It's still going to be high, but high to a point where it's not going to affect us in a serious or a detrimental way. We're still going to have different construction practices. Still going to have to do a lot of work to make the ground solid for the main shop and house, or really anything we build. That's just always going to be something on this property. And that just comes with this property. It comes with having super fertile soil, comes with having a beautiful view, huge sky, and being nestled right at the base of mountains. Like, that's just what this property is. And honestly, I love it.
Yeah, every property, even the most expensive properties, will likely have their drawbacks or little issues
or their
with them.
ugly season.
Exactly. But in any case, things are looking a lot better out here, and we're really stoked.
We're so stoked with how good it's looking. We're so excited to get a couple trees in the ground, get some grass on this, because right now we have one little bit of grass on the other side of the property.
Oh, and speaking of the other side of the property, we have so much more work to do over there. This is still very much early in phase 1, and we have a ton of projects that we're going to be working out here throughout the spring and the summer, and we are so excited to share that with you, and just wanted to thank you guys so much for being a part of this journey with us, because all of this would not be possible without you, and we truly mean that. That is the honest truth.
100% the honest truth.
So thank thank you for supporting this dream of ours. Thank you for commenting and watching, and we're just really stoked to have you as a part of this adventure with us.
Yes.
We're so glad you're enjoying the content, and we can't wait to share our next projects.
Yeah, and hopefully that will be next Saturday.
Next Saturday.
No, whoa.
Whoa,
2
hold on.
Saturdays from now.
I'm not going to be sleeping. Anyways, thank you guys so much,
Yeah.
and we will see you very soon.